Men really benefit from getting married? Research has suggested that men in particular benefit from married life. A major survey of over 120,000 American adults found that married men are healthier than men who never tied the knot or whose marriages ended in divorce or widowhood.
Marriage is an institution made by men for men. It works for men.
Intimate relationships and marriage benefit men more than it benefits women. Married men live longer. They are healthier. They have increased income over time because capitalism supports married men. A man who is married is perceived as responsible.
As much as marriage at face value, or more accurately, financial value, seems to benefit only women, women also never get their time back. So if a woman spends her 20s in a relationship or marriage, she can't get that back.
Men to understand that marriage will benefit the man more than it will ever benefit you.
A lot of women have come to realize and notice that marriage is 90% benefit to the man, 10% benefit to the woman. So a lot of women wish they were not even in the marriage that they are in right now.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Guys, it's your girl Miracle again. Be sure you subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed. So guys, in today's video we are going to be talking about this very important and viral topic on all social media. A lot of women believe that marriage benefits men more than it benefits women. Yes, a lot of people believe that in marriage, men benefit more than women, which is the reason why a lot of women are beginning to be like, no, I do not want to get married anymore. You know, that thing called marriage, can you keep it by yourself? Can you keep it? I don't need it anymore because I'm good as single. Honestly, I feel like this will continue to go on because as day goes on, women are being more equipped. Women are seeing the reason not to get married. I feel like a lot of women are seeing a lot of reason not to get married. And you know, before they told us that if you do not get married, you're going to die alone. But it seemed like men are the people who are being scared of being alone because women, a lot of women right now are saying, no, I am okay being a single woman. I don't want a child. I don't want a man. All I want is self-fulfillment. So guys, we are going to go and check public opinion on this topic. After that, I'll come and give you my own personal opinion. Let's go.
Men really benefit from getting married? Research has suggested that men in particular benefit from married life. A major survey of over 120,000 American adults found that married men are healthier than men who never tied the knot or whose marriages ended in divorce or widowhood. They also live longer.
I believe that. I'm not shocked at all because you neglect your health, and you typically in a marriage, the woman will take on that role.
You think it's just like a mother role?
And that marriage will benefit the man more than it will ever benefit you, like by a lot. They get someone that helps them manage their relationships with their family, plans out everything for their kids, cooks all the meals for them, does all the housekeeping, like literally everything. Like they get a fucking secretary, a maid, a chef, all those things within one person, and all they have to do is put a ring on their finger. They win every single time, which is why women tend to live longer if they are unmarried. But if you are going to get married, I need you to be as selfish as possible with your choice. Don't leave any box unchecked because I guarantee you, you will be benefiting from it a lot less than him. Even in the most like progressive, non-traditional marriages, the woman is still doing more typically. So do not negotiate your non-negotiables. Do not leave certain things out that you would prefer for your partner to have. Be as selfish as humanly possible when you're choosing that person, because I guarantee you, you are going to be doing a lot more than them, and they are going to be benefiting a lot more.
A lot of women have come to realize and notice that marriage is 90% benefit to the man, 10% benefit to the woman. So a lot of women wish they were not even in the marriage that they are in right now. Of course, society pressure and the politics around it, family, and also the kids that they share amongst themselves, they feel, oh, let's just stay here and just manage. But if they had the guts and the willpower to do what they wish they want to do, they will walk out that marriage and do it alone. Why? Because even though they are in there with the man, they are doing it alone anyway. I said what I said. Argue with your phone.
Incredible phenomenon. If you are in healthcare, you may have noticed this as well. Whenever I have my male patients and they come with their wife, every time I ask a question about their health, their background, what's going on, they will look at me, look at the wife, and the wife will always answer my question. No matter how direct I am, I may look directly in the eyes. 90%, this is like 95% of married men, right? You look into their eyes, you ask them the question. They may even tell you no. You may even say, hey, have you had this surgery before? They might say no, but the wife says, no, you had it back in 2004 or 2006 or whatever. And I feel like, where would men be without their wives? It's kind of wild, because the wives be knowing like what they wore that day, what happened on the day.
And this is one of the reasons why research indicates that marriage benefits men more than it benefits women. Married men are more healthier and they live longer compared to single men. Now, for those of you, when we share the research data on how marriage benefits men, and you go like, oh, why are we not comparing men and women? First of all, men don't get pregnant, men don't provide care or protracted care for children, and so you can't compare a married man and a married woman, or a wife and a husband. They are not comparable variables. But for us to understand the impact of marriage on men and women, we must compare between married men and single men, and also compare married women and single women, because married men and women are the intervention group, and single men and single women are the controlled group. That being said, very few husbands remember their wife's medical history, and very few husbands will stand by their wives during chronic illness. According to research in America, women who are diagnosed of cancer and multiple sclerosis are 6 times more likely to end up being separated, divorced, or cheated on. Marriage primarily benefits men more than it benefits women. According to existing research, married women are more stressed, they sleep less, they have a reduced income over time, and their life expectancy also takes a hit. And I am so glad that a medical doctor is pointing out that clear disparity of how marriage benefits men in terms of their wives' involvement in their health and having an accurate understanding of the husband's medical history.
Who is marriage good for? Who's it serving more, men or women?
Now, men.
Because I was thinking, if we pressed a button and the marriage stats went backwards in time, i.e. more people got married and they gave birth within marriages, would that be better for men or women?
It would be better for men.
Why?
Because being with the kids and kind of with the mum is just right now still an incredibly important way for men to feel needed, connected, involved, etc. Mm-hmm. Now, that might change, but right now it is pretty clear that they'll do better. And like, if you look at the impact of being married and not married on employment, earnings, health, physical and mental health, life expectancy, huge positive impacts for men, much less so for women. And of course, if you go back, if we went the other way, like, you'd say, well, actually women who weren't married were in real trouble economically until recently, right? Women used to be economically dependent on men, but men were emotionally dependent on women. And I think we've really done a lot on the first half of that, and it's kind of revealing the second part, the fact that actually wifeless men, partnerless men, childless men, they don't do so well. In fact, they do terribly.
I think the part that men don't understand when it comes to women with certain standards, or women that know exactly what it is that they want, they don't recognize that some of us who have our set list, our set standard. We know exactly what it is that we want because we've already failed. We've already tried marriage and it didn't work. So now I want what I want. I know what I want. And I understand that by me staying within what I want and not willing to waver, that I might be alone. And I'm okay with that because I want what I want more than I want to be in a relationship. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want a relationship above anything. I want to be happy above anything. And I understand that, and I'm willing to accept the fact that my happiness might be me by myself. And I'm okay with that. And I think a lot of men don't recognize it. A lot of women have accepted that idea that, hey, if someone else is not willing to live up to my standards, I'm okay with being alone, because most men are not willing to be alone. Most men will settle. That's why you see them hit 40, 50, and then they're like rushing, like trying to get married to any woman that would have them, because they spent their years full line, ripping and running the streets, not being kind to the women in their lives, even though they've had women bend over backwards for them. And then, because men fare better in marriage than women. It's a fact. No matter how much men say marriage is not a benefit to them, it's literally proven. Like, there's studies on it. Like, I'm not going to argue with it. Like, the only thing men used to bring to a relationship is finances, and that's no longer the case, and y'all have not evolved yet. So
now, men need marriage more than women need it. The things that men get from marriage, the sort of stereotypical things, are still really important for the man. But the things stereotypically a woman was getting from the marriage, she now doesn't actually need that stuff from a man. She can kind of get that herself, because society's shifted where it's not a case that the woman stays at home and raises the kids all the time. Now the woman's got her own money, her own independence. She can leave you.
I think that's true. For a man, a wife may be the only confidant. That's not true for women. Women have much better social support. But men and women both equally need high quality relationships, which is a different conclusion, really. Both men and women really need committed, loving relationship. But, guys can survive in a relationship that is not as good, and they can get a lot out of it.
Well,
whereas women can't.
They need somebody, oftentimes, though this is changing, but they need somebody to cook. They need somebody to clean. They need somebody to do their laundry.
Listen to them.
To listen to them. To help them sometimes solve work problems, or at least listen to their stresses.
So my 8-year-old daughter just approached me to educate me on something she had just learned. She was watching a show about cats and had learned the story about the Black Plague, which was caused by fleas that were on black rats at the time. However, the Catholic Church misinformed everyone because they believed that black cats were evil. After the Catholic Church misinformed everyone, they started getting rid of black cats. Because of that, the rat population grew and the Black Plague ran rampant. So this got me thinking about misinformation in general. And somehow in my ADHD brain, I skipped right over to the topic of marriage. I just started thinking to myself how interesting that men were able to package marriage as something women want, and that men don't. Looking back through history, of course a woman was excited whenever a man wanted to marry her, since she was bound financially to whatever a man was able to bring in. Women didn't typically work, they were not encouraged to go to college, they couldn't own property or have their own credit cards or bank accounts, and so of course finding the right suitor would be something that you would celebrate, I suppose. I personally would have chosen to be a spinster, but that's neither here nor there. So fast forward to today. And I see one article after another about how disappointing the dating scene is for cis-het men. Basically, at this point, I just imagine Tinder has a shit ton of men on there just waiting for women to pop up, and they never show. Because to be real honest with you, men benefit greater from marriage than women. You heard that right. Women are seeking men for a partnership, whereas traditionally men were seeking out women as caretakers, not necessarily for partnership. And now all I see are cis-het men crying about, why aren't there more women that make us lunches and rub our backs? Because men nowadays don't know how to be partners. Spare me with the not all men, we understand that, as long as you do too. I just find it so funny that now everyone is so surprised that not all women want to get married. Why would they? Women have been undervalued and underappreciated for fucking centuries. And then you've got the men over here saying, if things were just back to how they used to be. You know, the good old days. And usually they're referring to the 1950s housewife. They'll even try to tell you that women were happy and fulfilled then. In 1952, they had seen 50,000 patients, the majority female, and they had been lobotomized. And millions of women were prescribed barbiturates for anxiety and depression. So the fact that so many men want to spread misinformation regarding marriage, how there are just no more good women out there, yada yada, and their inability to self-reflect, and how easily other men that are disappointed about the dating scene soak in this information from these Tates of the world. You know, these tiny balding men with a complex. It's honestly fucking sad. We live in a patriarchal society. Y'all are literally doing this to yourselves. I mean, this is something that's easily fixable, right? With minimal effort. Guys, make some fucking effort instead of wasting time making videos whining about how you're not getting what you want. Real honest with you, men benefit greater from marriage than women.
I love this human and the original video. Go watch it. They're talking about a concept that I discuss a lot on here. The fact that research shows marriage benefits men much more than women, and the happiest demographic is single, unmarried women. That's because when men get married, they take on less labor, and when women get married, they take on more. And they say something in their video that just perfectly illustrates this. In general, when we're talking about cis-het relationships, women are looking for a partnership. Men are looking for a caretaker. Before 1970-ish, women had to get married because they couldn't have a bank account, credit cards, buy a house. But now, we can do everything by ourselves. But men's responses remain something along the lines of, we provide, or women want our money. Which leads me to something I've discussed here before. A lot of today's men have male gender role strain because they ignore both the data and the voices of women who they don't believe are actual experts on women, and live in this delusional 1950s world where they believe that's what today's women still want. And that's all they have to bring to the table is a job, which you'd have to have anyway, and I have too. Which is why women take on more labor when they marry cishet men. Because they still expect you to live in that 1950s world with them, where all they do is provide and you do everything else. And as the original creator says, that's why you see so many men on this app saying things like, why don't women want to cook and clean for us anymore? Why don't women want to rub our back? Now, I'm not saying that hetero marriage is a scam for women.
Truth bomb that no one is willing to talk about. Men need marriage more than women do. Think about why people used to get married. Women look to men for support, security, especially financially. But now women make their own money. And a lot of times they're making more than men. But men look to the women in their life for emotional support, confidence, children. We've all seen the guy that has a high quality woman by his side and how well his career is going when he's with her and what happens to him when he loses her. But women, we have friends. We have networks for emotional support. We don't have to go golfing to talk about our feelings. And no, I'm obviously not saying that women shouldn't get married, don't need to. That's not it at all. But what I am saying is look at what happens also to men when people aren't getting married. Men have record level rates of depression, feelings of isolation, and all kinds of weird personality issues. So maybe we should talk about the marriage crisis not only for women, but for men.
Name one benefit that a man gets from marriage that he wouldn't get in a regular relationship. Just one.
Well, I think, as a woman, if you're...
I'm asking you as a man, since you're, attacking men for being Peter Pan.
I think a lot of men who choose to get married are incentivized by the fact that they are able to claim that woman as theirs. And
but name one benefit that they would get in a marriage that they wouldn't get in a regular relationship.
Well, I think even though it's not 100%, there's peace of mind that woman is not going to be loyal to you.
The answer is there's none. You're dancing around it. There is none.
So, the argument is that there are zero benefits for men to get married. I was tagging this video, and here's what I will say because I know it will challenge some of you. And yes, I took a few good shots to the Moneymaker sparring earlier today, and that's why I'm a little marked up. Anyways, let's get into it. When a man invests himself in a marriage, he exposes himself to the vulnerability and the responsibility that marriage requires. That places him in a position of ownership and masculinity unlike anything he would experience in a regular relationship, where he can keep one foot out the door, where he can feel safe and can leverage the uncommitment of that position. That is a man seeking power and safety, not partnership and sacrifice. Being a husband calls a man to a higher standard of behavior, commitment, and risk than being a boyfriend. And if you really think deeply about it, that in and of itself is a benefit to a man. I think it is also important to ask ourselves, what is the best possible foundation to build a home and a family upon? I think that this conversation, especially in the contexts that Fresh and Fit insist on arguing with 19-year-old sex workers over 24/7, is all about materialism, power, money, selfishness above everything else. Marriage requires a man to put his money and his commitment where his mouth is. Does it generally require the same from women? No, it does not. But as much as marriage at face value, or more accurately, financial value, seems to benefit only women, women also never get their time back. So if a woman spends her 20s in a relationship or marriage, she can't get that back. And according to these guys, once a woman is in her 30s, she is worthless. On top of that, women also don't get their bodies back after they've had kids with you. And we all know how these guys talk about women with kids. So if you really think about it, who is actually risking more by being in a long-term relationship? So are you guys really out here expecting women to give up all of their limited time and their bodies, and you still won't marry them? So you expect her to take on all the risk. Another fun fact, statistically, women fare worse after divorce financially and relationally than men. Imagine that. These guys are literally advocating for the type of man who never commits, whose provision and protection are conditional tools of leverage for a woman's absolute obedience. They also believe that men should be allowed to cheat. Is that the picture of a man that men should aspire to emulate? Is that your idea of the pinnacle of masculinity? Is that the type of man that you want for your daughters and for your sisters and for your mothers? Is that the type of man who makes a good father? No. And do any of you ever bother to ask yourself why none of these hyper-successful 1%er alpha males of the internet ever align with or marry one of the young, conservative, fine, fit, friendly, and submissive women that they go on and on about women needing to be more like? Wouldn't you expect all of the rare, amazing women that do exist to be lining up for such rare, successful, amazing, provider, protector men? Think about that twice. So why are we listening to this? Because it confirms biases, it strokes egos, it triggers the biological us versus them survival centers in our brains. Most of the people in the conversation actually come from broken homes and broken marriages and single mothers and absent fathers. And maybe y'all need to start taking accountability and start listening to the people who got it right, rather than listening to the garbage that just validates the garbage that you came from. Marriage is not about what you are trying to get out of another person. It is about what you are willing to give. What you get is a byproduct of what you invest. Some more fun facts. Married men are statistically far more wealthy than non-married men. 84% of millionaires are married. 68% of them are in their first marriage, and like 90% of them didn't even make their first million until after 50 years old. So do the math. They got married and then they built their wealth together. Oh, and men with high IQs are more likely to get married than men with low IQs. I imagine we will find a few of the latter in the comments. All of that said, I say this as a man who is not married yet. Marriage should not be taken lightly. It can either define you or destroy you. It is the most important decision that you will make in your life. And I don't know about you, but I would never advise someone to get into a plane where there is a 50% chance of it crashing and over 80% of the time being due to the pilot's decisions, which is the current divorce statistics, with women representing the pilot, which is a stat that obviously is not so black and white, but it also should not be brushed over. So the next conversation might be, should prenups be the new standard for men seeking to get married in the modern world?
Ladies, what can you offer to men that they will not leave you for another woman?
I have nothing to offer a man to keep him, because keeping a man is not my priority. Men are adults. Men are autonomous human beings who are adults. Therefore, you do not keep them. You keep an animal, you keep a pet, but you do not keep a human being. This patriarchal indoctrination and talking point has destroyed the lives of many women, especially African women. Oh, you need to do this to keep a man. I have nothing to offer a man to keep a man. Because most men lack sexual discipline. Most men sleep with things that have nothing to offer them. You go on the street of Africa and women who are mentally unstable end up pregnant because men slept with those women. You go to the morgue and men are sleeping with deceased bodies. You come to North America and a woman is in a medical coma and she ends up pregnant because a man slept with her. What is my point? Most men lack sexual discipline and most men are self-centered and they will choose what they want to do. So it is not a woman's responsibility to do anything to keep a man, because you keep pets and you keep animals. You do not keep a human being. A man is an autonomous adult and a man must commit to building a relationship with a woman. If that man is not committed to building a relationship with a woman, it will not work. Also, intimate relationships and marriage benefit men more than it benefits women. Married men live longer. They are healthier. They have increased income over time because capitalism supports married men. A man who is married is perceived as responsible, therefore likely to get a job contract or a promotion. So at the end of the day, if any group should be working towards keeping a partner, it is men. Men are the ones who are benefiting when it comes to intimate relationships with women and in marriage. But because patriarchy has indoctrinated men and women to believe that it is a woman's job to keep a man, women have destroyed themselves trying to keep a man. Dear women, it is not your job and your responsibility to do anything to keep a man. A man who wants to be with you will put in the effort and the consistency, because relationship is work. Whatever you fail to nurture and pour into will not work out. And relationship takes two people for it to work, not one person. And before I forget, it is this mindset that has boosted the Kaya Mata industry. That is why women will go and get different forms of Kaya Mata, fuck me and stay, love me alone, and all types of Kaya Mata to be able to keep a man. That is why some of you African men, you are spiritually in bondage because you expect a woman to do everything to keep you. And some of these women will go for Kaya Mata to be able to keep you. Dear men, unlearn this your overestimated importance in the life of a woman. Oh, what are you going to do to keep a man? As if a man is the essence of our existence as a woman. It is 2025 and we have dissented men. We don't care about keeping a man. We care about our mental health, our emotional health, and keeping ourselves and making money.
So I just watched a video of a woman talking about her ex-husband and how replaceable women are for men. And I can attest to this. It's crazy. So in my youth, I was raised by the patriarchy, as most of us women are. It wasn't until much later that I understood my worth, but we'll get to that later. So being married, I did everything. I cooked, I cleaned, I set up events, I had the friends, I made the dates. I did everything for this man. Everything. And anytime I asked for help, there was always backlash and an argument. It was a manipulative tactic, and eventually it got into fear tactics, if you know what I'm saying. There was a time where I had this really great job, and then he convinced me to quit it, and then got mad when I was not bringing any money when he asked me to quit my job. There was a point where our money was combined, but we would get allowances every month or week so that I could spend my own money. It was so nuts. Meanwhile, this man's setting up his studio in our house, spending money galore. Our expenses are crazy. Crazy, and that's not for me, because I have anxiety now about spending money because of his manipulative tactic. So To say that the man benefits more than the woman, 100%. I was losing my hair out of anxiety. I was walking on eggshells around this man. When I finally decided to end the marriage, and this is after like months of fighting through therapy, like we really tried. He grew up in a religious household, so divorce was not really in the picture, but it was in the picture for us. So I finally am like, all right, I'm done with this. This is so toxic. I cannot do this mentally. I'm very ill. Finally, I put myself into therapy because I felt like I was a crazy person, but it was really like a narcissist manipulation tactic, right? So get out of the marriage. A month out of that, he already has a new girlfriend. Trades in one for the other, right? This person has a rough background, so she's can put up with his BS. I'm learning my own worth at this point, and which is why I'm finally like, I'm done. I can't be in this. I cannot be in this for years and years and years with a person who doesn't even value me as a person. There's no way. That's clearly, you need somebody else for that. But it's not going to be me, and I feel so bad for this woman. Because that just shows her walk in life, right? A month into us separating, the divorce papers haven't even been drafted yet. 2 months later, he already has this woman pregnant. Like, if it's not, they're not married yet. Even to this day. This was 4 or 5 years later. They're not married. Nope. But I bet you he's dangling that carrot. Because he wants to keep her, right? And that's an interesting space to be in. Now you have kids, and you're dangling the carrot of marriage to get her to stay. Manipulation, right? And I asked him before we signed the divorce papers, and I never talked to him again. Why did you ask me to get married? Like, why did you want to marry me? Such a weird thing for someone like just to want and to push. Why? And he was like, oh, I don't know. He knew. He knew that he wanted me to take care of him. He had severe mother trauma. He wanted someone to take care of him, do everything for him, and he wanted someone he thought he could manipulate. And early on in our dating, yeah, I was a little bit more malleable. But as we got older and I had to fight for my literal well-being and health, that was not the same woman, and he needed to trade me out. So it's interesting how it benefits men over women. I don't know if I'll ever get married again. I would sign a prenup. I would do a prenuptial agreement with my long-term partner. I don't know if I would ever get legally married, because there's just something that switches in the male brain afterwards where they just feel very entitled to that person, where when they already feel territorial when you're dating them. So then having that legal document, like, oh, because literally in the subconscious of every male, back in the day before women had rights, a marriage document was that you were their property. It literally was. So I'm good on that. I am a feminine woman ready for my masculine man, but I do not need to have a marriage document in order to prove that. So
guys, before I give you my own opinion, I want to remind you, if you have not subscribed to my channel. So guys, like I said, honestly, I agree. I accept marriage benefits men more than it benefits women, but they want to tell us that it is we that need the marriage. Like, men want to threaten women that, oh, you are the person that's going to die alone. I honestly don't feel like a woman can ever die alone. You know that a daughter will always remain a daughter. Forever, a daughter will always remain a daughter. But once a man get married, like, they cease getting close to their family. Which is the reason why I feel like no matter what happens, a woman will never be alone. If you are a good person, no matter how life gets, you see somebody in your family that will take care of you during your old age. That is a must. But honestly, I don't think I will say the same when it comes to men. This is the reason why they say when you go to old age home, you see more of men being very lonely, left alone without anybody visiting them. Even if you're a woman, like when you see an old woman walking, like nature have made it for you to feel some kind of way towards them, feel a bit sympathy, like feel sympathy towards them, or the need to help them. This is the reason why I don't believe that women are going to die alone if they say no marriage. I feel like marriage benefits men more than women. Yeah. But guys, I want to know your opinion in the comment section. Let me see you in my other video. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends and family, and let me see you in my next one.